So I wanted to talk about something super vulnerable and dear to my heart today. When my father was near the end of his life, he had leukemia. He had asked me to chew him out. He said, "Why don't you tell me all the stuff that you're mad about at me about, that you've been upset with me for your whole life? Because your brother did, and I think it was good for him, and maybe you should too." And I said, "Oh, no, there isn't anything, we're good." And then I thought about it, and I went home and I thought about it, and I was really in this internal battle with myself about it. Do I tell him all of the things? Or do I not? And it came down to, is he going to live or is he going to die? Because if he dies, I don't want to remember for the rest of my life that one of the last things I said to him were all the ways he failed me as a father. And then I also had this other thought, well, if he's going to live though, if you're going to have any chance for real connection with your dad, you're going to have to confront him about these things and tell him how he failed you as a father and give him a chance to make it up to you now, or at least put it in the past for good. And I remember standing there thinking, I should really confront him and tell him on the faith that he's gonna live, because that's the outcome I want. But then I just didn't do it. I thought about it, and then I just didn't do it because I was too afraid that he was going to die. And then it's interesting because he did pass away. And after he did, I started taking my anger out, not just, at the air, screaming at him, but at the male influences in my life. And I took that resentment and anger and I overlaid it on the people closest to me. Because I didn't stand up for myself with him, I was determined to not make that mistake again. And, so I thought that I would feel guilty, or I would feel better about not having confronted him when he was alive after he died. Instead, I actually felt worse and wish I had. I wish we had had that conversation and that chance for real reconciliation. And instead, I was just filled with anger at having abandoned myself and not stood up for myself with the person that I actually mattered. Instead, I rigidly held boundaries, and you can hold a boundary, that's fine, but you can also take it too far and then be very confrontational and harsh. And that's what I did. I put on this big suit of armor and kept everybody from getting close to me. And it was a real shame that had to happen that way, because I listened to my fear more than my faith and what I wanted to happen. And this isn't judgment. This is just experience. you know? Like, I'm not upset with myself for choosing that. I made the best choice I could at the time. You know, of course I didn't want to live with guilt at having one of the last things I said to my dad to be so negative, and who knows, maybe I would have felt terrible about it. But having not made that choice, I'm just reflecting on the alternatives, you know? And I didn't know how important it would be to get that off my chest. And so, if you're avoiding conflict because you don't want to mess up a relationship, you're also not giving that relationship a chance to grow into something deeper and more real. You're keeping it from developing and growing. And things that don't develop and grow in nature and become stagnant, they're kind of dwarfed and often they die. So if you don't want that connection to die, then I would suggest having the uncomfortable conversations that feel like confrontation, and just have them in the most sincere, honest, from the heart way you can, if you really care about them and want them to grow. Otherwise, you risk them dying, and that's all I wanted to say about that.